So your baby's snuggled upright, you've been nice and cozy for a while now, but you want to breastfeed them, and you like to breastfeed in a cradle position. It's really easy to do in a ring sling. So all you need to do is, at the moment the feet are forward together like that, what we're going to do is we're going to give ourselves a bit of, loosen it up a bit, give it a bit of slack. So we've got a bit of room to move it. And then what I'm doing is I'm making sure that both feet come together. So we're still in that lovely curved position, but both feet come together. The feet still stick out. So the carrier, the ring sling, is taking the weight of their butt. It's taking the weight of their back. My arm is looking after their neck and their head. Now, my boobs aren't that far down, so I have to get her a lower. So I'll just give myself a little bit more room and bring her down. And then now we are in a cradle position where her weight is being held by the ring sling, not by my arm. So I'm not actually having to hold her while I do this. Her weight's being supported. If I need to tighten it up a bit, I can. But what's important here is that my arm, and I personally use the crook of my elbow because it's less tiring over time, and my hand is still available to hold a plate while I eat, or, you know, I can still function while baby's in this position having their feed. So you've got your elbow is supporting their head, so you are not using the ring sling fabric to support their head when they're in a cradle hold. It is your arm. So a couple of reasons for that. If you are currently breastfeeding them, if they decide they want to let go, they can push against your arm and be released. But if you have the fabric nice and tight, they might decide they want to stop and they can't push their head off, and that's a real problem for them. Could scare them or freak them out or create, you don't want to do that. So that gives them a bit of release if they want to push off. The second thing is it means that your elbow is making sure that they have airflow through here, that their chin has not dropped. Okay, so you are making sure that they're having a clear airway. That's your job. Some babies feed to sleep. A lot of babies feed to sleep. My baby fed to sleep pretty much every time she had a feed, she fell asleep. So people being super, super safe, the perspective is, or the opinion is, that once the baby's fed, if she's gone to sleep, is that you need to then bring her back into an upright position. That is safest for everybody, and it is very safe in terms of keeping her airway open and things of that nature. However, sometimes that's not going to keep the baby asleep, and you need to keep the baby asleep. So if you do decide that you're going to keep her down in this cradle position while she's asleep, then you must be aware that you are in charge of her airway. So yes, I would continue with my arm there, and I would continue with my hand on the back of her, so I'm aware that she is breathing. I can feel if that changes, and I know that I need to be just that little bit extra vigilant, make sure that while she's sleeping, she looks so cute, that her chin is back enough, and she's nice and clear, she's breathing totally happily. Any issues, you are aware, you are very aware. So this is not when you kind of sit down and doze off or concentrate on something else. If she's asleep in a cradle position, you need to be that much more aware, but it's not something that you can't do safely. My daughter is 6, she survived doing this many times, but because I took over responsibility for making sure her airway was clear and that she was safe while she was sleeping in this position. Okay, and if you do want to put them back up, you just go back to where we started. So you notice I'm putting my hands under her bottom. I've taken her out of the ring sling, kind of, because I need to tighten this all up again. We moved her out to get her down, so I need to make sure that all that excess is back over here before I actually put her butt into the fabric. So we get that all sorted, and we pull all this excess out. So there's a bit of a mess there. Let's pull that, tighten that up. Get these legs up, this butt down. Okay, so now she's nice and snug and tight again, and she's now back in an upright position, and you haven't had to take her out completely at all. Alrighty. Oh, one last thing, changing sides. I'll just put her back down. So obviously this works really well. Sorry, this is a brand new ring sling, so it's a bit stiffer to pull through the rings. Obviously the breast opposite the ring is the one that's going to be the obvious one to use. Now, when you want to swap sides, you have two options. Number one is to take it off completely and put the rings on the opposite side and have the baby head that way, feet that way, lining up for your other breast. So totally sensible way to do it. I never managed to do it that way ever. What I ended up doing is I just swiveled her in the ring sling. So depending on how easygoing your child is and situation, what I did, I gave myself extra slack, supported her head, I've swiveled her. Okay, so I have swiveled her around. I just manoeuvre everything around to suit myself. And now again, her back, her butt and her back is being supported by the fabric of the sling. So her weight is being supported by my body, not my arms. My arm, back at crook of my elbow is on the back of her neck, and then we are good to go for this side. Obviously this is probably not the one I want her to go to sleep on, but if I had to, I could just pull things around. Actually, if she did go to sleep, I'd probably just swing her back this way and make myself a bit more comfortable, if I didn't want to bring her back upright again. Alright, so that is how to move into a breastfeeding position using a ring sling.